We say
Hello.
gang. Well, how does it
Hello and
work?
welcome. Tea House Settings Abroad.
International.
International episode number
Love it.
1 in solitary confinement, like Michael Schofield.
Not really like Michael Schofield. I call it Lincoln.
You always were more of a Lincoln than a Michael.
Was I?
No, you've got Michael's tattoos. That's
Yeah,
about
exactly.
it,
I can't complain. I think you'd be more a Lincoln in reality.
Yeah, definitely would. Running everywhere, breaking doors down.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Fucking
man.
shirt unbuttoned as well, which you're running through the streets.
Michael.
Can you imagine? Yeah, that's not a bad impression. How you doing anyway, Stu?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm isolated, self-isolating. I'm in France. I stupidly came to France for a birthday party, and I've been here for about a month now.
Bloody hell.
That's great.
Sounds like a big birthday party.
Yeah, well, the party only lasted one night, and then all
is
the
it?
flights home got cancelled. So that's
Ah.
why I'm still here. How's it
That makes
going?
more sense.
Are you in England?
Yeah, mate, I'm in London. We both out of Manchester, both in our hometowns now, which is interesting in itself because London is a bit of a weird place at the minute.
How
Bit of
so?
a weird place. Because of the epidemic, the global pandemic that's actually going around in London.
Are all the streets silent?
All the streets are silent, mate. Ooh, you know when you watch like a movie and they say the name of the movie in the movie?
Uh-huh.
That's how I just felt there. That's how I just felt there.
Just happened. You know that when that happens, it's the moment that you're like, oh god, like edge of seat moment. This is where. So
it's only a minute 40 in.
We've triggered that a minute 40 in because there is a lot to talk about. There is a lot going on in the world. Where do we even begin?
Yeah, we haven't had a podcast in over a month, and the last couple of podcasts haven't worked out that well, have they?
No, they
corrupted
haven't.
And everything.
So we recorded one, and we were so confident and really happy about it, and it was like 8 a.m. and we were both screaming at each other with coffee, and it was extremely distorted, so we couldn't keep it.
Yeah, you turned my voice the whole way up. I couldn't even hear myself. I sounded like I don't know what I sounded like. I'm
sorry,
Shaquille O'Neal or something.
Shaquille O'Neal, great example. So anyway, we're back. Obviously, we're devoted to this podcast, so we're going to try and, not let it die, revive the ambers of the burning flame.
Well, mate, you do know what they say.
What do they say?
A phoenix only arises from the ashes.
That's very true. That's what we're about to do right now. Today's first episode of the online podcast using the Anchor app that we're both fairly new to. So,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, if
we
anything
don't even know what's happening. Yeah,
I don't know how to even save this afterwards. But
I think it does automatically, but we'll see what happens.
Inshallah, as they say.
But no, mate. Obviously, the elephant in the room is the thing we've got to talk about, isn't it? The coronavirus.
The flu. Cold that's going around.
Yeah, mate. The 5G is coming to get us.
So, if we recall the events back from sort of when we were both last together, I left for France thinking, oh, this coronavirus thing is getting pretty crazy, like China. Like we were Italy got pretty bad, and we were both like, oh wow, look at these videos, like. There's no pasta left in Italy in the shops, and everyone, but no one took it seriously. No one took this seriously, and everyone was like, "God, it's crazy." Some people are dying in China, but we just thought it would stay that way, like Ebola. I mean, I was fairly sure that it would be like Ebola, wouldn't affect us at all.
See, the thing is, I was working in the hospitals at the time, and it literally changed from a week where people in the hospital were saying, "Oh, people are overreacting to this," to the next week where they literally were shutting down all of the outpatient. Or the MSK outpatients area and putting everyone onto the wards or preparing to get everyone onto the wards. It was such a change into what was happening. It was really it was a complete throw. It was a complete
just a total change in mindset, really, wasn't it? Because everyone underestimated it. No one realized the gravity of it, and no one realized how fatal it would be. And quite how infectious it is. I know a lot of people kept saying it's a flu, it's a cold, it's just a cold, and people are still thinking that now.
But I think people are taking it a lot more seriously, simply due to the fact the amount the government are pushing it forward.
Of course.
But when I was driving, when we were driving back, when I came back to London, I was looking over, and every single sign that was on any billboard said, "Catch it, bin it, kill it, stay in your homes, do this, do that." It's literally publicised everywhere to kind of push the message of isolation, keep yourself safe, keep people around you safe. try and stop the spread of the disease as easy as possible. And the thing is, it's
That's
going to be
crazy.
carrying on for
Yeah.
months as well. It's going to be months of
Yeah, well,
this.
that's where the real question is, because obviously it was total lockdown now in France for about 3 weeks. So it happened in Italy first, and then I think it was France. They decided to close down all the schools, and then I think 2 days later they closed down every non-essential shop, and then they
Yeah.
closed down, and now it's like, and then they made it illegal to leave your house unless you were doing one of these 5 things, which are going to the hospital, going to the doctor, or going shopping, doing exercise outside, or making sure you are, like, if you're someone's guardian, like looking after your parents, that's the only thing you're allowed to do. So
See,
those 5 things.
it seems in England it's a little bit different over here. It seems like people are more advised. You shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah,
You
it's
should
not
be
illegal
staying
though.
at home. Yeah,
Whereas
it's literally.
here,
I can still go out if there's one other person. I can go for a walk. I can enjoy the sunshine. I don't know.
honestly,
Enjoy what
mate,
it is.
here if you leave the house, you can get a £150 fine just for not having a piece of paper that you sign yourself, saying exactly what you're doing and how long you're going to be.
That's
And
crazy.
and I've seen loads of videos of people being fined and arrested and stuff, because I mean, Macron took it very seriously, which is
You have to,
obviously,
man.
which you
It's
have
the
to.
best course of action in reality.
And it shocked a lot of people.
Hmm.
But now we're used to it, man. It's 3 weeks in. I mean, I'm getting used to it. I mean,
Yeah, 100%. Mate, I was
uh,
speaking to one of my mates about this, and the after effects when this is all done and people are actually going to be able to socialize is going to be a very interesting time. There was
I
already a lot
saw.
of people that were out there, bit that were scared to go outside, hypochondriacs,
Yeah,
don't want to touch
yeah, yeah,
things
yeah.
and don't do this, and think about how much that's affecting them.
But
It's things that.
it makes you reconsider everything, really, doesn't it? Like
Mhm,
even going to a nightclub or even going to a
mhm.
gig. Just think how many people you're in contact with. Everything you touch when you go
Yeah,
out shopping.
think about how. Yeah,
It really does
100%.
make you think, doesn't it? How we've lived all our lives not really ever washing our hands. You know, like we've never thought about it in a ridiculous. You'd only ever wash
Yeah,
your hands when your hands are dirty, wouldn't you?
a
Like you wouldn't.
routine kind of thing. You do it 10 times a day now. You do it as much as you want to, mate. When I went to go see my mate for the first time, and like we ended up going to the shops to get some like essentials and everything like that. And he was
Mm-hmm.
like, mate, I haven't seen you in like 6 months. All I want to do is give you a big hug, mate. That's all I want to do. But you can't. You literally can't touch anyone else. You don't. I don't even feel like I should be touching my family, even though I'm spending all of my time with them,
Yeah.
because I'm just sitting here, and the government and all the media and everything portraying everything is just telling me not to do it.
It is very
It's just.
strange, isn't it? And
Mm-hmm.
no one has any answer whatsoever as to what we should or should not be doing, or rather, the guidelines are put down. But then, how the government in France were very strict about it, and a lot of people were lost. In England, it's been more. I think it's been a little bit more catered to each person, and they've
Yeah,
tried to put
I
in
got you.
guidelines like your mental health. Doing this, which is
Mm-hmm.
great, obviously, because people need that. Because there are a lot of people who, a lot of people, it's their worst nightmare to be locked inside. A lot of people can't
And
stand not seeing anyone. I mean, I used to be like that. Only
yeah, and I feel like, especially in England, it's the same in France in reality, but I feel like there's a massive divide between the government and the people.
yeah.
And if the government start pushing things that are too far away from what is the norm for the people, they're just going to end up rebelling against it.
See, I thought when it went down in France, I thought it's never going to be a full lockdown in England because people in England are too proud to do that sort of thing. I thought in England people
Hmm.
wouldn't. I don't think I thought it wouldn't be possible. Because I know people
Yeah,
like I pictured all us uni students. A lot of us wouldn't fucking respect those things. You know what I mean? But I feel
yeah,
like people are doing it very well, and people have understood how, if not
it's
infecting themselves, they're infecting other people, the vulnerable, and which is
yeah,
great because that's the main
yeah,
thing at the end of the day, isn't it? Like, you can. Maybe we've both got it, but we don't have any symptoms, but we've infected loads of people. So by staying inside, we're
exactly.
reducing it.
And when I was in the hospitals, they were pushing forward the kind of philosophy of don't pretend that you don't have it and you don't want to contract
Uh
it,
huh.
but actually pretend like you do
Yeah.
have it and you don't want to spread
Yeah,
it.
I did see
And
that.
having that
Yeah.
mentality is a better kind of thought process of
No, that's
doing it. You're
fantastic.
a bit more socially protective rather than being like isolating myself. I'm going to help everyone around me by helping myself.
Of course,
You get
that's
what I mean?
fantastic, and I think here at Tea House Settings, all we want to do is encourage people to stay indoors, to follow the guidelines, and obviously
Stay safe.
big,
As much as
big,
as horrible as it is to do,
yeah,
and as hard as it is to do,
of
it's
course.
representing the people that can't help themselves. But I was watching Joe Rogan actually,
Uh-huh.
not like that guy needs any bloody endorsement, but I was watching it and he was talking about how and I believe something fairly similar, that the coronavirus wasn't something that was actually made to actually intentionally kind of keep people indoors and keep people manipulated, but people take advantage of situations when they're kind of involved in this kind of stuff,
Okay.
if you get what I
Go
mean.
on.
So, for example, we were discussing this earlier, but the first thing that happened when you saw this stuff with the coronavirus, one of the first things I thought was, mate, fucking buy face masks and sell them for profit online,
Literally the first
because
thing you
people are
said.
going to go
Yeah,
off and
yeah.
do it.
Literally the first thing you
Yeah,
said. I remember.
like I didn't end up doing it because in reality it's not right to be able to like manipulate the way people are thinking to make profit for yourself. But there are a lot of people like
Of
that,
course there are.
and there's a lot of people like that that'll do significantly worse things
Well, like
to
Martin
help themselves
Shkreli, like
individually.
Martin Shkreli when he bought all the AIDS,
Who's that?
the guy who
Yeah.
bought
Oh
the
yeah.
AIDS tablets and sold them for like
Yeah.
a thousand times more money than they were worth.
Yeah. Something like that. I thought it was like 5,000
Yeah,
times,
or
but yeah, it was
whatever,
something
somewhere
ridiculous like that.
ridiculous. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Big pharma,
But
but we're a big pharma
but
now. These pharmaceutical companies, they got no answer for this because it's just
there
it's
is no
just so
answer.
weird. Yeah, like
Yeah.
some people are reacting like totally fine to it. Obviously
Mhm.
Boris Johnson and Prince Charles are reacting absolutely fine to this. Because obviously they are. How
Mhm.
funny is that? How them two have got it? But yeah, only mild symptoms. But
Do you think that's a manipulation by the government? I'm only saying this because think about it in this time. I was watching some stuff on TV and they were saying the most simple things. They had a graph and the graph literally just was going downwards and he was like, oh, look, this is the trend of how much people use public transport. So obviously it shows that less people are using public transport, but they're trying to keep this continuous cycle of information coming out
of
to keep the
course,
British
yeah,
public
yeah, yeah, of
entertained.
course.
So keep them informed about what's
Do you
happening.
think?
And do you think people lost interest? That's what I was just saying. Do you think people lost
Okay, I
interest?
thought you were going.
But would have lost interest if Boris Johnson or Prince Charles didn't catch
No,
this.
no, no, no.
Important
I
people
don't
weren't
think
catching
it's
it.
not. I think it's not. Obviously, it's normal that those people could possibly have caught it because they were in contact with other people.
Did you see that thing where Boris Johnson was like, I was in the hospital and I was shaking
And
hands
I'll
with
continue to
everybody.
shake
I was,
hands. Yeah,
yeah,
I saw
you're
that.
like, you're an idiot.
But I don't think
Idiot.
he's actually got it. Well, I mean,
What, Boris, Bojo?
there's a question that it's possible to ask the question: does he actually have it, or is he just saying it to make him more human and for people to empathize more with him?
The,
I mean,
mate, the
it's a
thing
question
is,
that could be asked. I mean, nothing's impossible.
yeah. But the thing is, we're naturally skeptical as
Of course.
individuals in terms of our government and at the elites
I
that kind
wonder
of
why. I
run the
wonder
country
why.
for us. Yeah. So that natural kind of like questioning makes things less reliable no matter what's
No, it's
happening.
just that what's
It's because
crazy.
people lie to you on a
No,
daily
no, no.
basis.
Why I'm asking this question is because why does Boris Johnson and Prince Charles have it, yet they're both like, I mean, Prince Charles especially is like 70, and that he's the
Mm-hmm.
perfect age to die from this disease. He's not dying from this disease. He's showing mild symptoms. There are people that are a lot younger than him who are dying, who are healthy and fine.
Yeah.
Maybe it is a coincidence, but all I'm trying to say, man, is that these rich elite people, they're not dying from this. Of course, they're not going to die from this. Why would they? They've got a cure for it. They can cure themselves. They can afford anything.
You think they've
I
got a
don't
cure
think they've
for it?
got a cure for it, but I mean, maybe.
They have the
Of course
facilities
they
to be able
do.
to best
Of
look
course
after
they
the
do. Of
symptoms
course they do.
more than people that are going to the
Mate,
hospital. And I get what you mean because
people with pancreatic cancer die within like a week or 2 weeks. Steve Jobs had it for like 12 years. Do you know what I mean? Like,
to an extent, yeah, he has access to the best medicals that society can provide.
yeah.
The thing is,
It's
as
obviously
well,
it's
is if
not
you think
easy to
about
give that to the entire nation, and I'm not saying that there probably is a cure.
100%,
I'm just saying that it's funny how these guys get it, and they're not going to die from it. No one important is going to die from coronavirus.
but it's also other aspects like if you go into Italian or Spanish hospitals, there must be coronavirus spread throughout the entire hospital. So if people are getting brought into there and they're getting brought into the environment, the likelihood of them getting further infected is even higher.
Of course,
But if someone, for example, like Boris Johnson has mild symptoms and he can sit in his house and he's not spreading it to anyone and not spreading it within his own home as much as what it would be if he was sitting in a hospital bed, then the likelihood of the disease to manifest even further is significantly reduced.
No, you're totally right. You are right. And it is a question of, am I being too opinionated? Am I being too, like, am I hating too much? You know, I mean, obviously, if he does have coronavirus, I don't want him. I'm not wishing that he dies from it. I just think, like, oh, it's crazy how, you know, these people have got it. So do people from the NHS, or so do just, you know, innocent people.
But, mate, and the thing is, a lot of stuff that you see online that's getting pushed forward covers up from the genuine beauty of the people that are sacrificing all of their time and all of their effort to be able to fight this disease.
Of course. I mean, some people are working.
That's the thing that you kind
I
of
saw
have to
a thing, this woman's working 12-hour days, 16-hour days. Like, they're not stopping. They're sleeping. There's some people are sleeping in the hospital or, like, not far away from the hospital just to work. I saw as when it first started in Italy, it was absolutely dreadful, the conditions in which they're working. I saw this American nurse who quit her job because she didn't feel safe, because there wasn't the right precautions, there wasn't the right things necessary. My brother works in the hospital in Salisbury, and he's at the forefront of all this right now.
Fucking hell, I hope he's alright.
Yeah, he's doing good, and he said that there was this bag of, like, COVID waste or whatever, like some stuff just left there unattended, whereas all that stuff should be incinerated straight away. I mean, some people aren't taking the precautions, and this is the sort of thing we need volunteers, and this is how we're going to fight the virus. It's precaution, you know.
But then if there's more volunteers out there that don't have the protective equipment, is it not going to spread the infection even further?
Yeah, I mean, you're right, man. It's a
very hard subject to do, and it's a time of fear and hysteria that's kind of pushed into it. I remember we were talking about the universities didn't act right, but if I was part of the university, I wouldn't be doing the right thing. I would sit back. I wouldn't know what to fucking do.
Of course.
The same with the hospitals. It's the same with a lot of works and workplaces. The one thing that I don't rate, though, the one thing that really got me fucking grinding my gears was when I was listening to Boris Johnson in the first week, where he was like, "Nope, you know what we should do? I just recommend you not to go to these bars. I recommend you not to go to the cinema."
That was terrible.
Mate, the amount of businesses that probably went under because of that was probably astronomical. And no one talks about that. No one pushes that forward. No one discusses that point, because he closed it afterwards. Oh, they're going to get money. They're going to get money. But think about the people that are living on a knife edge. Imagine the people that, I don't know, were told not to go to other people's houses, and these people were actually going to it. Imagine that, exactly. Imagine any of these situations where
it's not Subway and Mackey's.
They're living on a knife edge already.
It's Martin's Bakery and it's Big Boss Diner that are going to suffer from this.
Exactly, these small family-run businesses that are living on a week-by-week basis of making sure that they're getting the same loyal customers that are coming into it.
And now everyone is getting paid, like, what, 80% of their wages, or not even that. Or some people...
Only up to £2,500, though. And the thing is that a lot of people might not even... And that's £2,800. I think 2,800, a month. That might not be able to pay enough for their bills to protect themselves against what's happening. I mean, they might have to live on that 20%.
That's incredible for someone who lives in Salford and who pays like £400 rent a month. But someone who lives in the centre of London, who's like an entrepreneur, or someone who's like our age, can't afford his rent. Do you know what I mean? Because he's not being paid what he's usually being paid. So, yet again, how can it be a universal credit? It should be personal, don't you think?
No, to an extent, but then I think in a time like this it should be something that's accredited to the individual, but then people are naturally greedy anyway. People always want more.
Of course they do.
No matter what's happening, they're always going to push forward to get more.
Of course, but there's some people with that 2,000. Let's say they get £2,000 a month. Some people will be able to live even better than they used to, and some people will be able to not even afford their rent.
It's actually I think it's only up to 2,500 a month. So if they're getting less than that, they wouldn't.
Right. Okay.
They would only get 80% of what they would have got, rather than pushing.
But still, that 80%,
which is even worse.
80%, some people can't even cover their rent, on all their bills and stuff.
I've seen the biggest companies in the world. When you look at the stock markets, is they invest so much money that they only get a turnover of a little bit, maybe 2%, something like that. That 2% is such a massive increment into what is actually being invested. So if you're taking away 20% of someone's living, imagine how difficult it is for them to actually survive, especially if they've got kids on the side.
Imagine
someone that's got a mortgage and three young children.
and
How are they going to
imagine
survive?
20% off just our week shop. Like, just think about that. How less that is.
Yeah.
You know, that's like no
literally.
milk or no butter or no cheese. Like, yeah, I mean, it's
Literally.
stupid to say, but
The essentials.
that's some of that is essential that's just gone. You know, because
Yeah.
I know, man, but I'm fairly lucky in the sense that I have a job and that View is a big company. I'm getting paid my average wage monthly for doing nothing.
You're lucky,
Yeah,
mate.
I am. You.
And I'm fortunate because my family have both been able to keep their jobs on for where they are now.
Yeah, that's great.
So they're fortunately being able to help kept on. My dad's working from home. He's able to keep on doing what work needs to be
Your
done.
dad's
and
working
which is
from
very,
home.
very,
And you
very
said your
grateful.
is your mum working from home as well? She goes.
The thing is because she works with adults with learning disabilities, so she helps them directly by actually being hands on and actually working with them. And obviously, they can't bring her into the facility that they work in because it's going to increase the spread of COVID.
Mate, it must be terrible
So
for people like that right now.
Mate, but the thing is, at least the families are able to support them a little bit better. I feel really sorry for those people that don't have families, the people that don't have the support they need to can go off and help them. I was speaking to my grandma, and fortunately, she had people on her side that were able to help her out. She had people calling her up, making sure, we've got this, and that's beautiful because the British public, and it's probably the same in France, is looking after the individuals that they don't.
Of course,
looking after the individuals that can't help themselves.
That's a good way to sway onto the next topic. The positives that are coming out of this. If there are, if we can say there are, I mean, look at that. We've regained touch within humanity. I mean, I've been calling people every day that I'm not used to speaking to. I've been on the phone to relatives that I'd never really speak to, friends I wouldn't take the time to speak to them.
Exactly.
And
I try and send messages and send positive messages to people in this time of need. And you see some hilarious things that some people post on social media, and I actually react to it and give them positivity about it because I feel like it helps myself being able to reach out to that person too, or help them because they're actually having an interaction with someone that they may not have had an interaction with.
No, it's great, and we are regaining that want, that need to communicate because we've all learning that being self-isolated alone isn't great, and we're bored, and so we're looking towards other people. Whereas before we wouldn't care about those sort of things. So that is a positive, I suppose. Also, the planet is slowly healing itself, which is amazing.
Well.
Dolphins
really
coming back to Salford Keys for the first time in 6.2 billion years.
Mate. Some of the stuff that you see, you're just like
pterodactyls coming back to Salford after all this time.
I heard I heard dodos have become
extinct. Dodos are back, and I heard 3 Tyrannosaurus Rexes was spotted outside Salford Shopping Centre, which is fantastic.
Oh, were they? No, that's just Salford, mate. Don't worry about it. Yeah, it's just Salford.
No, but no, I mean
that's where my heart is.
That is where my heart is. Did you see that kid who did the chip and he kissed the Salford badge with pride?
No, yeah, you did that. You showed me that on Instagram. When he did that, a tear came out of my eye. I was just thinking about
Salford.
About the team.
Mate, I can't believe Salford FC. The games of all the games. I mean, let's not even talk about football because
the football, man. There's no need to bring it up. I think it's just going to make us really both upset and quite emotional this time.
Do you know what? I've been watching Green Street. I watched Football Factory last night with my brother.
Oh,
and I was just flashback of watching the game. It was great,
mate. No, it's crazy. It's crazy. Just going back to that, we wanted to discuss some philosophical questions while we were kind of on the podcast as well, and going back to help and importance of help. What this question that I kind of found online that I found really interesting. I just would like to hear your opinion on it. It's what is more important, to help yourself, to help your family, to help your society, or to help the world?
Oof.
What's your opinion on that?
Help the world. I mean, listen, I think everything is vital. Each of those points are important in their own way. Okay. where I have a bit of a stronger opinion is that imagine you're in a relationship with a girl or with family or whatever, like you're in any sort of relationship, but you're trying too hard to please other people. You're trying too hard to help to do something
to change the world.
You're trying to push this boulder up this hill, okay? But you
Yeah.
can't do it because it's too heavy, and you know that if you keep on pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, this boulder is gonna roll over you and kill you, right?
Yeah.
A way that you go through that is asking for help, and that help is usually helping yourself. So I feel like to make any change, you have to put yourself as number one. But
mate, I couldn't agree more. So I've
no,
got to carry on because I've got a point that carries on from it.
Please, I think that's what
It's
I want to say.
it's exactly kind of just carrying on from that point. It's almost like a ripple effect. If you put yourself as number one and help yourself, the helping of yourself to make yourself a better person will directly help the family and the people that you directly surround yourself with. And if you can help those people and surround yourself with you and help your family out, that family's going to be able to help the society that helps around you, and which will therefore in turn help the
no,
world.
You're right. And
the boulder analogy is a perfect example because you're just saying if I push that boulder up on my own, it won't help. But if I get my whole family to help me,
of course
they'll be able to move that boulder. And if they can't, then the society will help them. But you have to be able to make sure that you've got the right stepping stones to be able to get the people in your society to help you out.
You always need help to do everything, you know. There's not a lot of things that you can do alone in the world.
Yeah. It's horrible to say, but you almost have to, and I don't believe this directly, I believe it's like a manifestation of it, but you have to make people understand the importance of things, which may be for your own selfish desires, but if you can make that person believe that it's good for them, then they will be able to help you.
Yeah, I mean, if you see someone you love in a bad position, obviously you want to help them. But if that person can't accept that help, they'll never help themselves. You know what I mean? We've said it before about people that we're friends with. We can help them so much. We can do this and that for them. But at one point, that some people need to realize things that will make them. You know, I feel like self-realization is the key to any progression. You know,
mate, it really, really is. So that's a quote that keeps kind of people that are in isolation, I think, are starting to realize a little bit more as well. You sit back and you're like, the whole world is a standstill almost, but I can still progress myself to make myself a better version of myself.
No, that's perfect.
That
is great.
I was speaking to Nathan.
Which Nathan?
Indian Nathan.
How's he doing?
And I was speaking to him. No, he's still in Manchester. So him and Hans are both still in Manchester because they can't get flights home to India and Singapore respectively. So they're kind of just stuck there, and it's kind of a crazy world that they're probably experiencing because they're away from their families. They don't have loved ones near them to be able to help them out and support themselves.
It will be a real journey for them as well, you know, being alone.
Yeah, and no, it must be crazy, but I think Nath is handling it very, very well. He's kind of going the right way with it. I was speaking to him about Wim Hof, and he was like, "Oh, mate, he's gone on such a tangent with all the stuff. He's kind of developed his understanding and knowledge of Wim Hof now." And you know, when we were talking about it, and it's like the breathing techniques and understanding this work, and it's almost like meditative state that you get into if you practice this breathing and going into it, and you develop things and learn for yourself. He's meditating, he's working out as he needs to, and I'm looking at it as in terms of like at least he's progressing himself when he's in a time where he doesn't have much else to do.
No,
he doesn't have much else to kind of like concentrate and push himself forward in, which is very, very bold and strong, because the easiest thing to do is fucking sit at home all day and just get pissed and do nothing. Because it's the easiest option, and I'm doing it myself.
This pushes to the question: are we using this time wisely? You know, like all the time we complain about not having enough time, and now we have nothing but time. Are we using our time wisely?
Are you asking me directly that,
or
are you just asking generally?
You what you think. Are you using both? Are you personally, Sunny, using your time wisely, and do you think people are generally?
Myself, No, I think you can always progress. You can always progress yourself further to do better for
Okay.
yourself. And the moment that you stop and think you are the best version of yourself that can be, that's when you
Of
lose.
course. Yeah.
I think the constant being like, oh, I can do this, or let me try and do this, or let me put my foot in that door or that door, or try this, or experiment with this. That kind of process of developing yourself and pushing yourself up, mate. No one knows everything,
Mm-hmm.
and the people that think they know everything know
Of
the least out
course.
of everyone. There's always more that you can go for. I've been trying to learn the Rubik's Cube, and I've been sitting here for fucking an hour trying to do it, and I was like, oh, I've got 2 layers
Really?
done.
You got 2
Say
layers
no
done?
more. And then, yeah, I got 2 layers done, and then I tried to do the third one, fucked it, and just
Oh
left it there.
man.
I'm going to sort it out another day. It'll be a new dawn,
For
a
a
new
rainy
day,
day.
mate. For a rainy day, exactly. But that's the thing. There's always that constant evolution and progression that people need to do, and I think people are too. And before this Chrono Crisis, it was even more so. It was too much of instant gratification that people got. People were able to get everything that they wanted at the
Of
click of
course.
their fingers. Everything from fast food getting delivered
Of
to their
course.
door, to getting people to write assignments for them, to be able to go on Tinder and you can swipe to have sex with whoever you
Yeah.
want to. It's such an easy method that people kind of almost got lazy and didn't
We're
understand the hard
taking
work.
things for
When you
granted,
look at
didn't we?
things like,
We have, and now we're paying for it.
exactly, if you look at any animal in the animal kingdom, if you look at any animal in the animal kingdom, they they don't eat for a week and they can hunt for days to be able to find one meal for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Of
Think
course.
about that. If we were wild animals, we would have to hunt for hours and hours and hours a day to get it, rather than go down and put a pizza in the oven and pissed off that it takes 20 minutes rather than 15
Yeah, I
minutes.
know.
Like,
But
it's it's the world that we live in, and I think people are just realizing that they have all the time in the world so they can develop themselves to be the people
of
that they
course.
want to be now. And the moment that people start to realize that more for themselves,
Of course, and
they will
that's
grow
when
more.
everyone evolves. Yeah.
That's my kind
No,
of
that's
philosophy
great.
on
That is
it.
great. And
Yeah. Do you think you are?
I mean, at the start, I wasn't. I was just sat down in bed all day doing not much. And then in this last week, I've picked up a computer that's not very good, and I've tried my best to make as much music, be as creative, and as this and that as I can. Obviously, it's difficult when you don't have the
But
tools.
you're naturally a much more creative
So I
person than
think
I
it's
am.
fantastic
And
that
that's
you're
the
trying
thing.
to do the Rubik's Cube,
You
because I've never been able to do a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah, but it's just I found it in my house. But I don't know. I think it's even harder for people that
Yeah,
aren't
of
naturally
course. No,
creative,
you're
people
right.
that
I'm
are
lucky to be creative person,
naturally
and I'm not doing stuff that I wouldn't normally do. I'm just doing it more and sort of always.
and expressing yourself as you kind of done in the past. Have you thought about doing anything completely out of your comfort zone, completely far away from any realm of thinking that you had
I've
before?
thought about. Oh, I've thought about certain projects I want to make, all in the domain of music and film and that, but being totally out of my comfort zone. So yes, but in terms of like a new format, I did want to paint. I fancied myself at painting, and I know
All
I
right, Bob Ross.
fancied painting and I fancied sewing as well, but yeah, making like masks
Sewing.
and
Oh,
stuff. I
interesting.
wanted to make a
Why's that?
mask.
What, like a protective
Like a
mask, or
valley,
just like a babby?
like a leather one. I don't know.
Oh, is it?
My mind's yet again, man. I have been productive, but there's so much more stuff I
Yeah,
could be doing that I'm not. Like you
yeah.
realize it. I could run 100 miles right now and be like, oh no, I could run 200. Do you know what I mean? I'm always chasing myself right
Yeah.
now.
It's
Yeah.
constant pushing yourself to go for it. Yeah. Do you think people in general are
From what
doing
I've seen,
similar things
a lot of
to
people have started
how
making
we are?
TikToks and stuff. So I suppose, I suppose that's,
Well, yeah,
I suppose that's
to an
a bit
extent,
of
yeah.
being
And
creative. But yeah, again,
have you seen all those guys that have gone, "Baby, can't give me
oh, did you hear?
something"?
Did you hear Drake's new song? Oh, mate, it's pretty sick.
No, I
Anyway,
haven't even heard it.
we'll talk about Drake afterwards. But
Yeah, we can put
uh,
music into it. We can discuss music because there's been a lot of good
so
music
much
in
music
reality.
we can talk about.
But
Um,
yeah, but at this time, being so alone. This is what I've discussed this with quite a lot of people, and I've mentioned it briefly before. But my dreams recently have
here
been
we go.
so fucking weird. They've been
What have you been dreaming about?
so.
Any one particular theme that's been coming back, as explicit as it is?
Mm, Not really. I've just been waking up and it's just been like living my life, but just like strange things have been happening. Like it's been, but I think it's because I've
Hmm.
just been spending so much time inside in the same environment. It's almost hard to distinguish my dreams from
Ooh,
my reality.
spooky,
Like it's almost
spooky.
warping into one. Because it's even really weird things that it's really realistic and almost sometimes it's really mundane things. Like I was sitting in our house in uni and I got bare Dominoes delivered to the house and that was it. And I woke up and I was like, oh, Domino, like
But
what? I was
but but
like
you
really
didn't distinguish
confused.
that because
But
on a daily basis you always order Domino's anyway. So
yeah, exactly. But in reality, I
I
don't know
think
what it
there is
is. I think
confinement. Yeah,
it's a
definitely.
lot of the dreams that I've been having. Yeah, and we're discussing now. Like, I wouldn't want to imagine what people are having. The people in prison would be like people in solitary confinement because they're just alone with their thoughts and trapped there
Mm,
for months on end with not even an interaction or a phone or a
just their
TV or
thoughts.
anything to kind of entertain themselves.
I've been
Yeah,
crazy dreaming. But since I just, yeah, fully.
has it
I
been
thought
really
I said
weird
to Jack
or?
and Cora, I was like, I've been having crazy dreams then. Like, well, because I think one of the things is because here in France, it's so quiet right now. There's no noise at night. It's dark
Mm-hmm.
outside, like fully pitch black. Like, there's no street lights and stuff. So yeah, honestly, like
Seeing stars.
amazing stars. But it's just so quiet, when I'm asleep.
That's
So it's
mad.
like really good sleep. So I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that's a reason that we're maybe having dreams as well because we're sleeping a lot more than usual. But also, my dreams have
Mm-hmm.
been reoccurring themes about like women, but like lots of different women. And yeah, like
Oh, really?
like but
What,
like
women from your
friends or
past?
girlfriends or like my mom or like my nan, just like I don't know, predominantly female-based dreams, right? And yeah, I think I've
Really?
dreamt about a man in like months, and it's weird, like weeks. Um,
That's really strange. That's really strange.
I'm
Why do you
not
think we
sure.
dream?
I feel like we dream because it's basically our brain winding down everything we've thought about and sort of imagining everything
Okay.
that's happened in the day and like going through various scenarios. It's basically our brain thinking, but unconsciously.
Yeah. It might just be a different perception to the experiences
What,
which
like an
we've had in the
alternative
daytime.
version of the day?
Or it's maybe yeah, so our brains might have maybe it's just kind of reassuring neural connections that are important to us at that time. It might be playing it back and then it might just be from that kind of perception of the neural connections firing, it creates a physical
So how
manifestation of
do you
something that we think
explain that
about
in
in our
my dream
brains.
like 2 nights ago, I ate like 30 snails? No,
So
but I've been
have you
eating
eaten snails
like
recently?
French cuisine, so maybe like that's got something to do with
So
it.
yeah, so the part of your brain that's associated with French cuisine might be associated with what you associate with French cuisine, which is snails. So it might be it's trying to fester in your mind something
That's
about you eating more French food.
that's probably
Going
true,
from that,
man.
I will
That's
move
probably
to
true.
having understanding with France. Yeah, like it could be anything. It could be a hyperactivity of certain areas of the brain, which is giving stimulus to your visual cortex or something like that. It could be anything, or it could just
No,
be
you're right. No, I think you are
I
right.
don't know, a different dimension,
Definitely,
a
it is a
different
different
perception of what
perspective, and it's
reality
like
is.
we're entering another gateway of like a psychic gateway, and we're going into it
Hmm.
and we're discovering various
Yeah.
realities and alternative
Oh,
possibilities of what
yeah.
could have. I don't know if it's uchronic in the sense like what would have happened if. I've never had a dream where like I said yes to someone and then dreamt about saying no to someone. It's more about desires and fantasies rather
But
than alternative realities, don't you think?
yeah, yeah. So what I was thinking was it might also be our ability to kind of um answer a question without actually having to
Hmm.
see the consequences of it.
Go on, continue.
Do you get what I mean? In terms of if you think about dreaming, because you can see other animals dream. Dogs
Dolphins
dream. We've
dream.
seen it. We've seen other animals apparently do dream. Dolphins dream. These kind of animals do dream, but they're wild animals. So if their dreams were putting them in a place of danger or heightened awareness and kind of just want to see their reaction to it, for example, say deer's dream. I'm not 100% sure if deer's dream or what they would dream about, what their perception of dream is, but say it's similar to what we perceive, and they might dream about a wild animal coming to attack them, like I say a lion. Obviously, deer and a lion don't live together, but say a gazelle and a lion or something like that. And the gazelle dreams about how it would react if it got approached by a lion. So when it does actually get approached by a lion, it will have a better understanding of how to think when it's in that situation. It might just be the brain trying to just help itself out to make
if you
more
dream
sense of the
about a
situation when
deer,
it's there.
it represents like a kind of peaceful period in your life. Like if you,
But saying that, it could be in Western culture, couldn't it? Because we perceive deers
deers
to
as
be
animals
peaceful
indicate
animals.
that you will have an exciting spiritual awakening in life. If the deer enters your dream, it can suggest that you're going
Really?
to have an intuition that you need in life. So the fact that you spoke about dreaming about deers actually means that if you do dream about a deer, well, deer's dreaming, but if you do dream about a deer, you're going to have an exciting spiritual awakening in your life.
But do you think that's just from people asking thousands of people, "Oh, you dreamt about this," or do you think it's something that's more similar to when people say that they're
Yeah, I
psychic
mean,
and they kind
yeah,
of just make
it
assumptions
is.
about things? What would you draw
It is
where did you
BS
draw the bounds
because
on
we
it?
don't even know why we dream. So analyzing dreams is
Yeah,
obviously like uh, to me
to an extent
if
though.
someone says
I've
to me like, oh, I dreamt about a spider, and then someone looks at them and says, oh, well, that means that you're going to find the love of your life. I don't know how lenient I am with that, you know.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be more similar to it being completely subjective to yourself. So the dream in which you had, like, if you imagine you were running away from, I don't know, say you were running away from a,
Like an
what's something you're
animal,
scared of? Putting you on the spot here.
hornets,
Anything.
wasps,
What are
like
you
I hate
scared
them.
of? Hornets or what? Yeah. So imagine you could have had a really, really, really hard day where you're trying to push everything away. You were like you're turning away from it, and you're like, no, I can't be asked with it. I can't. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I can't be asked. And you might have a dream later on where you're dreaming about running away from
Yeah,
one of your
yeah,
biggest
no,
fears,
it
which is a
is.
hornet or a wasp
Yeah,
or something like that. And it might be the perception of I'm fearful of this. That's my
yeah.
fear. I'm going to get away from it as quickly as I can. But then
It's purely
it's just again,
metaphorical,
it's just
isn't
a
it?
visual
Really, like
representation of what it is.
it.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
And it's your interpretation of it as well, which creates what the dream is. I heard something like it was similar to what I was saying, where it was
Mm-hmm.
electrons firing in different parts of the brain. And it might happen in spurts of 10 minutes throughout a whole 8 hour sleep. So it does 10 minutes and then maybe 3 hours of nothing, then another 5 minutes, and then 3 hours of nothing, and then another 5 minutes, and then a spurt at the end of like 2 minutes or something. But your brain might comprehend the four spurts of whatever was
Yeah.
happening
Okay.
and actually build a story out of it,
Yeah, I suppose
even if
that's
there was
when they
nothing
do
linked
like
behind it,
the paper
which is really
graph thing,
interesting in
don't they?
itself.
And they like calculate the stimulus in your brain, and it like sort of draws a picture of what you're dreaming about.
Yeah.
Very much. Go on.
But
Go
it's
on.
even
Go
the
on.
same with. Sorry, go on. No, I was just gonna say it's the same that when you look up in a cloud and you see a dog in the sky or something like that, your brain is good at making assumptions and associations and making things make sense for yourself. That's the whole kind of concept of what a brain does. It pieces things together to
But that's
make
very
an
much similar
understanding of it.
to that's an art form. It's called pareidolia, and it's where you can distinguish certain forms and things in the clouds or in trees, in leaves, in like hair and anything. Have you seen the paintings of the fruit bowls and stuff, and they look like a face, or you know?
Isn't it personification where you kind of
No, it
make
is
it
definitely, but I think it's called
humanistic?
there is a it's a tendency for incorrect perception of a stimulus as an object. So it's like
Oh,
you know
okay,
the
that's
paintings
interesting.
of like the fruit bowls, but if you look at it from a certain distance, it looks like a face. Do you know what I mean or not? Um,
Mm. I, I I can understand where you're
I
coming from, but
studied
I haven't
it
seen the
for
exact
like
art piece
when
that
I
you're
was like
talking about.
12 or something. Yeah, it's like
Oh,
when you
really?
see like two
But
windows,
it was even stuff like
or like if you see like a light switch, it looks like a face. You know, like
yeah, no, I get what you mean, and it's like the stuff like, do you remember
yeah,
on Mars they
exactly.
used
Yeah,
to think
it's
that
the
there was a
same thing.
human face that
Yeah,
was
yeah,
on
yeah.
Mars, but it was because of it was humans
But
assuming
that's
that
the thing,
that would
no,
actually
and that
make
is
sense
very
of it. But
true.
it's
That even in our dreams, it could be somewhat like that, you know. And that is great. You know, in the early, I think,
yeah,
Victorian times, when people first started dissecting people and doing experiments on the body and stuff, dreams were obviously studied, and instead of being something that was like an out of body religious experience, because people before believed that dreams were like when you connected to God and stuff, you know, it was very much religious. They believed that you had
almost,
you had all your dreams
Makes
as
sense
you
anyway.
woke up, like seconds before you woke up, you know, because that you only remembered, you know, your last dream. People used to think that was because you remember like the 10 last seconds of your dream. But actually now, like what you said earlier, it comes in bursts of different moments. And that's what we believe now. But I mean, it's still heavily debated between people, and no one realizes why we dream, you know, like I don't think anyone ever will know, you know?
Mate, and the thing is, yeah, and the thing is, this is just my perception of what it could be, or a perception of what I've heard from other people and manifested my own way of thinking about it. There's no real answer. There's no effective, direct scientific evidence pointing in one way or another for it. But what I feel like, I find peace with it,
But
so it makes sense to
you
myself,
never really
and
have
that's
nightmares, do
why I
you?
enjoy it. No, I literally don't. But saying that, I don't ever watch horror movies or anything that fucking makes me fearful.
Do you
I
remember
literally
that
just kind
dream
of
you had
turn it
of
away, push it
me?
away.
That sort of nightmare you had with me, but I wasn't me. Do you remember you told me, and
Oh,
you
mate, that was
decided
such
to
a
wake
weird
up
dream.
because you
Yeah,
didn't want to dream anymore.
yeah, that was the thing. It's because the last, I think,
What
as
was
soon
it
as I saw
again?
two of you, I was
What
like,
happened again?
nah, this is definitely not real. I just woke up. I think it was like I was in a house and I was living in like a weirdly weird tattered house, and then the thing is, there was one part. So I'm guessing that my perception of it was I looked outside and there was like a squirrel that was in the garden,
I
and then there were
remember
head of
now.
snakes in the back garden. So I'm guessing the the house in itself must have been my mind and realized that there were snakes out and there's dangerous people outside that can come get me. And then I invited people into my house, and everyone in the house was an arsehole, apart from
No
you.
way! I've
But
never
you
done that
invited people
before.
round because you're having fun. We were all having fun. Yeah, never done that before.
No.
But we're enjoying ourselves. We were having a good time, and then you started swinging on the banisters, and I asked
On
you to
the
get down because it was my
banisters,
house, and you weren't respecting me. And I was like,
the
on
chandelier. All
not
right,
even the
okay.
banisters, the fucking window frame. You're swinging on the window
Yeah.
frame, and I was like, stick, get down, man. What are you doing? And then like you got down or something like that, and then one of the people that you were with started pulling down all of like my blinds and shit, and I was like, "What the fuck are you doing, you fucking?" And I was about to scrap him, left the room, went into the kitchen, tried to pick up a knife to stab him, and like
Yeah. Okay.
all of the knives were really bendy, like for some reason, like I was picking it up and it was really weird. And then you came in like trying to calm me down. You said something nice to me, and I was like, "All right, cool, say no more, it's all good." And then another version
Whoa.
of yourself came in and said the exact same thing, and I was like, "Oh, this is fucking weird as shit." And then I was like, "Fuck it, I'm waking up." Got up. But from that perception, you could say that I might just have a little bit of caution when inviting people close to me, and that people can be two-faced or people can be a different
Well, yeah,
perception
that's
of what
very
I
true,
actually
isn't it?
initially believe. And then you have to be
I
careful
ha-
and scary about how it's going to do. And sometimes you have to back away from the situation. Sometimes you have to fight
Yeah, I mean
it.
that's a very
That's what
very
my
yeah,
perception of
yeah,
it
yeah.
becomes, and making
But
sense of it in that way
it's
helps
great when
out.
you
Yeah.
remember it. But I mean, just think of everything that happens in the night, and you only wake up and you don't always remember everything. You know, if you did, if you could record the dreams, how amazing it would be. You know.
No, mate, 100%. But yeah, the only reason I remember that dream is because I think I fucking called you
Yeah,
afterwards and
yeah,
was
yeah,
like, "Oh, I need
yeah,
to tell
yeah, yeah. No, I
Stick this
remember you
fucking
were
dream, man. It was too
that
intense."
was like a bit of a nightmare, you know, as well.
I
That's
think that's the
insane,
closest thing
though.
I've
That
had to
is
a
pretty
nightmare, which
crazy.
is
I've
weird.
had some
But
weird nightmare, like scary
yeah,
nightmares. You know.
yeah, you, you've told me so many stories of so many crazy shit that's happened in your dreams. It's like the thing is, talking about them is the
Uh huh.
minuscule amount of how you
Yeah.
actually feel in
Yeah,
the
it's yeah.
moment, because your emotions are involved in it as well. You're actually absorbed within the world in which
That's
you created, which is
Yeah, I mean, they can be
so interesting,
frightening, they can
so
be
interesting.
magical, they can even be like sad, or you know, I've woken up and I've been totally
Mm-hmm.
like sad because my dream just made me cry, you know, like, and I don't even you know, like I've dreamt before
Fucking hell.
about like being with, I don't know,
Yeah.
like an ex-girlfriend or something when I was younger, or like, you know, being like in a sad situation or just something, and I woke up and
Mm-hmm.
I just started crying, but I didn't really feel sad.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like my brain associated it with sadness. Yeah.
Your emotions are
It's
so pushed in that direction. Yeah, it's crazy. So we've done the two questions that we had before. We've
go on.
actually flowed into this last one quite well that I've actually written down. The last question was,
Oof.
what is the best way for a person to attain happiness?
I
What do you feel like it is? You're talking about how sad and upset you were and how almost not in control you were when you were with those emotions. So how can someone feel happy and be positive when their emotions can take over them and actually push forward into the world? Especially in a time where everyone's trapped with their thoughts, and especially people that are depressed or naturally anxious or naturally scared. In this time, how can they kind of push forward and be a bit more
very good
happy and
question.
positive in this
And
time?
you know, I only have an opinion. I don't have the answer. But of
No,
course it is. Of course it is.
but it's a discussion point. That's
I
what it
think
is. But
for
yeah, go on.
me, on a personal level, to be happy, you know, it's not always easy, and there are days where you don't want to get out of bed and stuff, and that's the same with everyone. But I think the most important thing
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning at the moment is to cherish the people that you have around you, to realize why you wake up and why you've woken up all your life, and to strive for a goal. You know, I live by Matthew McConaughey's famous quote, you know, that you can always chase yourself and chase what you really want. You have to thank people, and you have to love people, and you have to, you know, be grateful to certain things. But the real key to happiness, I think, is self-sufficiency and the feeling of being fulfilled, you know. And a lot of people feel empty. I feel like happiness isn't money. It's not a car. It's not materialistic. It's the feeling of waking up and just
So I think comes and
smiling.
goes. Yeah.
You know, I feel like that is as close as happiness is. And I'm not sure though, because
What it
you know,
can be.
so many people dream of, you know, my happiness is when I've got this job and these kids and I do this. But for me, it's not materialistic, and it's happiness is a perception. It's what do you call it? An image rather than being something real that you can touch. Yeah, a state of mind. Yeah.
It's a state of mind almost, isn't it? It's happiness is it's not a way in which you should pursue. It's just something that you should live within, if you get what I mean. It's for myself anyway, and it's very very hard for me to kind of discuss this point because I've never been suicidal or extremely manic depressing or anything like that. I feel like I've been fairly fortunate with the way that I've brought up within a very lovely family and a very lovely set of people that I've surrounded myself by. That it's easy for myself to say that
Great.
I am a fairly happy person, but from my perception of what it is it's being able to be grateful for what you do have and being able to look at things could be significantly worse if you reflect it back. And I don't want to end it on a sour note of saying talking about coronavirus again, but if you look at people within India, there are doctors that are out there saying you need to be thankful for the Western world that you have a room that you can isolate yourself in with if you feel like you're ill. Yeah, you should be thankful that you can be able to wash your hands and be able to clean yourself and keep yourself positive and happy. And it's the thing that we were kind of talking about before, where you have to put yourself as number one and make sure that you're doing well for yourself, and it will directly affect the people you're surrounded with by to help the society and help the world. No one can help the world from step 0 to step 100, but being able to go through the steps and being able to progress yourself seems like it's the best way forward. Just be happy within the little things in life. And I was speaking to other Nathan actually ages ago. Switcher Ha Nathan. Yeah, shout out Switcher Ha. But he was talking about every morning he wakes up and he does positive affirmations. He says, "I'm thankful that I'm able to walk on my two legs. I'm thankful that I'm able to smile.
Staying humble and modest
that
and
I have lovely
realizing
people that
what
care
we
about
do.
myself." And literally, because things can be so shit, and we are in such a privileged position to be able to do whatever the fuck we want to. And sitting down in the morning for 5 minutes and saying, "I'm thankful for this, I'm thankful for that," and almost giving in to something that would be a bit of a higher power, losing something that's more than yourself, which is the collective of the society that you surround yourself with, is the thing that kind of pushes me forward and keeps me happy. I want to help as much people as I can, so I'll help myself to help them.
No, you're
if I'm
totally right,
miserable,
and that
I'm
is,
just going to make you
it's very
miserable.
personal,
Yeah,
but it's also very important that each person is grateful for everything. And I don't think I thank myself or thank whatever I'm supposed to thank enough, but and realize how grateful I am.
yeah,
And it's something we can all work towards, you know. And I think it's a good note of encouragement to end
yeah,
the
100%.
episode on, just to push people to, you know, in these times, be closer to your loved ones,
Smile.
but also closer to yourself than you've ever been before, because you're probably gonna be spending a lot of time with your own self,
Yeah.
and
Literally, and everyone is no one is
of
better
course
than
not.
anyone else at the certain subject that they want to be in. If you push yourself forward, you're the best at being you. And the moment you realize you're the best at being yourself, and no one, even if they tried with all of that might to be better than you, could do it, build you strength and build you
No one
happiness,
can be
because
youer than
you
you.
can just embrace yourself for being you. Exactly, exactly. And if you can smile in the face of suffering,
No one can do a better
that
job
only
of
brings you
being
more
you.
happiness.
So stop comparing yourself to other things, and just love yourself, because
Literally.
you're the only one who can change yourself, and you're the only one who can love yourself. So do it.
100%.
But I think
100%.
that this was a
Just go
very
for it, do it.
interesting topic of conversation, and all we want to do really
Yeah. Kind of shows where our minds have
is
been, isn't it?
push you guys to being a little bit more happy and comfortable with yourself. And obviously we hope that everyone is having a good quarantine, a good confinement.
I said having a good
And God
quarantine like it's
knows
a
how
birthday
long we're going to
party,
be
man.
in this mess for. But as
Oh,
Gandalf once
fucking hell.
said, all you can do is, all
But
you can
stay
decide in
positive.
life is what to do with the time that's given to you. So decide, make the
Very
choices
good quote.
that you would never have done before. Go out of your comfort zone, experiment, draw, paint, do 50 push-ups, do 100 push-ups a day like Sonny does. 1,000 a day like Sonny does. And
So not anymore.
yeah,
Not anymore.
how
I've changed now, mate. I'm not doing push-ups
you're just
anymore.
doing
I've got
pull-ups all
pull-up
day.
bars in my house.
You've
I'm just
been
gonna
doing
do pull-ups
stomach
every fucking
crunches
day.
with the
But
eye
that's another
patch on.
story
You
for
can do
another day.
3,000
All
stomach
day, mate.
crunches now. When your eyes are a little bit puffy in the morning, you put the eye patch on.
Well,
I watched American Psycho
all
the other
right.
day and I realized
Calm down,
how
American
good it
Psycho. It's all
was.
good.
May
Is it?
banging
I watched
film.
Platform
Did you
the other
like
day,
it?
and I actually watched it. Very interesting. Very interesting. It was a good representation of society, and it's a good representation of how
As next episode,
people are naturally greedy and selfish.
quarantine
But
film reviews. I think.
I think we could have a little bit of discussion or something like that. But let's see how it goes.
We
We
don't
can
even
do
have
this
to
a
leave,
couple
mate.
times
We
a
can
week
just do
because
this
this
when
is
we're back in
easy. We're not
Salford. I'll
really
stay
doing
at
much
my
else
room.
in
You
it. We
can
can just
stay
sit down and have a
upstairs,
nice
and we'll just
conversation.
just talk.
Just do a bit of discussion or
But
something.
anyway, thanks
That'd
for
be
being a
perfect,
great
mate.
host as
That'd be
usual.
perfect. But
Exactly.
you too, brother.
For
You too. It's lovely to
57
hear your
minutes.
voice
Yeah,
as
well,
well,
I
man.
mean, it
Actually,
just
good to have a
proves
good
to you, doesn't it, that
conversation,
even
a bit of
this
discussion.
5G is killing us all with coronavirus, we can still make podcasts. So I suppose that's the only good thing about it, isn't it?
Oh, no, don't get me started. Now it'll be
I'm
another
going to try
hour.
and end this
About sitting through it
recording
for another hour.
and shout
Don't
out
worry.
everyone
But stay positive.
supporting. Shout
Go
out
for
all
it,
the
man.
love. And
Well, big love
Sonny,
to
I'll
every
catch
man.
you
Big
in
love
a
to
couple of
everyone,
days for
man.
the next
Please.
episode. Love you. Bye bye. Bye bye.